Hey there, business owners. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? If you've been searching for the perfect opportunity to learn about funding your business, then look no further. Welcome to something that's going to change the way you think about funding your business. This is not just another run-of-the-mill webinar, this is a game changer. Sponsored by Versa Business Systems, I'm here to make sure you're ready for what's coming. This isn't just another webinar. This is the business funding webinar you've been waiting for, and it's starting soon. Imagine having all the tools and knowledge you need to secure the funding that will propel your business forward. So, do yourself a favor. Find a quiet place. Seriously, eliminate all distractions. Turn off your phone, close your email, and focus entirely on this session. Grab a notebook, a laptop, or whatever you use to take notes. You'll want to jot down every piece of valuable information that's coming your way. Trust me, you'll want to remember this. The insights and strategies you're about to learn could be the key to unlocking new opportunities for your business. This is your chance to learn from the best in the industry. Shaheen, our expert, is going to kick things off promptly at 2 p.m. EST. Shaheen has years of experience in business funding and has helped countless businesses secure the capital they need to grow. This is your moment to learn everything you need to know about business funding. From understanding different types of loans to learning how to prepare a compelling business plan, we've got it all covered. This is your opportunity to gain the knowledge and confidence you need to secure the funding that will take your business to new heights. Your business funding webinar is starting soon. Make sure you're prepared to absorb all the valuable information that's about to be shared. Sponsored by Versa Business Systems. Before we dive into the wealth of knowledge awaiting you, let's take a moment to meet the CEO of Versa Business System, who will be guiding you on this transformative journey. Shaheen has successfully helped hundreds of businesses secure the capital they need to innovate and grow. His deep understanding of the funding landscape from venture capital to small business loans makes him the perfect mentor for this webinar. He has been featured in top business magazines like Forbes and Yahoo Finance and has been a guest on TV shows. Shaheen's insights are not only practical but also actionable, ensuring that you can implement them immediately to see real results. He's a passionate advocate for small businesses. His mission is to empower business owners like you to achieve your dreams and create lasting impact. Shaheen has collaborated with industry giants like Grant Cardone, Elena Cardone, JT Fox, Paul Getter, Audra Carpenter, and Gary Cox. He was named one of the top entrepreneurs to watch out for last year by New York Finance magazine, alongside big names like Damon John, Grant Cardone, and Russell Branson. Get ready to be inspired and equipped with the tools you need to take your business to the next level. Shaheen will be joining us promptly at 2 p.m. EST to kick off this incredible session. Sponsored by Versa Business Systems, your business funding webinar is about to begin. Get ready to unlock new opportunities and propel your business to new heights.
I choose Versa Business Systems. Versa Business Systems. Versa Business Systems.
Versa Business Systems. Versa Business Systems.
Versa Business Systems.
Versa Business Systems. Versa, the best company to go through. Versa is the best place to go. Versa is your best option.
But I don't know if that can erase all the past and the pettiness. A reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious. You think you're worth my time. You're delirious.
Thanks for joining the Mastering Business Loans webinar. My name is Shaheen Mazloom. I'm the founder and CEO of Versa Business Systems. I want to thank you all for joining me today. It looks like we got a ton of people still hopping on. But let me just go ahead and dive in. Today you guys are going to learn about me, who I am, why I'm the expert when it comes to business loans, business lending. You're going to learn about Versa Business Systems, who we are, how we got to where we are. And you're going to learn as much as you possibly need to know about business loans, how to apply, what you can do to ensure you get a favorable rate and term. You're going to learn to understand the landscape of business loans, how to secure and negotiate favorable terms, as well as effective loan application and management. What kind of documents you're going to need, things like that. But before I dive in to tell you a little bit more about myself and Versa Business Systems, why don't you guys go ahead and pop in the chat where you're from or what kind of business you're in. That way I can kind of tailor this to your needs and your business type. Awesome. We got Maryland in the house. That's where we're from. That's where we're based. Florida, Chicago. Okay, I love Chicago. That's the Windy City, right? Or is that New York? I don't know. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you guys all taking the time. You guys are here because you take your business serious, right? At the end of the day, it is super hard to start a business, let alone scale a company, right? We can't do it alone. We got to do it together, right? So partnerships, like your partnership with us, is super important, right? Relationships are how we are able to scale a company and really go together. You guys will notice these two quotes right here that I have on the whiteboard. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, right? That's probably one of my favorite quotes. It's an African proverb, and it holds so true, right? When you try to do everything yourself, it is so hard to scale and grow, right? Until I started raising capital myself, I wasn't able to scale my own business, right? So these things are super important to learn. And there's so many companies out there giving bad information, overextending businesses, giving them more money they can afford, and not making sure that the money's going to something that makes sense, right? So I'm going to teach you guys as much as you need to know about business lending so you can make sure that, one, you get good deals, you get good rates, you don't bite off more than you can chew, and you can be successful, right? At the end of the day, you work so hard to start this business. Now you got to work smart to be able to scale it and get it to where you want it to be, right? Another thing it says right here is great things in business are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people, right? Whether you guys are a one-man company or you've got a ton of employees, scaling is so much easier to do when you have those right partnerships and you have people that you can count on, whether it's marketing companies, lending companies, credit card processing companies, or hopping on webinars and learning different things that you can utilize within your business to get where you're trying to go, right? So who's Versa Business Systems, right? We've been around for about 7 years. I've been in the B2B space for, I'm 36, so almost 30 years. And the reason why I say that is when I first moved to America when I was 7 years old, I started my first business. We were cutting grass, raking leaves, things like that. And we did it for businesses, mostly homes, but that's when I first learned how to close a business, right? I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been around businesses my whole life. I've started a few businesses, ran a few companies, and Versa Business Systems I started about 7 years ago because I got sick and tired of seeing businesses getting taken advantage of from salespeople, marketing companies, insurance companies, right? There's so many things that go into starting a business and growing a business. And so you've got to rely on all these different types of companies to treat you right, give you fair terms and rates and pricing, and give you the right information. It's a lot. And, unfortunately, there's companies out there that are really just focusing on their own profits and their own sales and not so much worried about taking care of you, the client, right? So I started Versa Business Systems to try and change the B2B landscape and become a company that focuses solely on helping our clients, right? So everything that we do, we make sure that it's going to put you in a better situation. If it's not, we are going to let you know, and we are going to decline to do this deal or do business, right? We want to make sure everything that we do with all of our clients is going to help them grow, help them scale, and put them in a better position than when we first started speaking with them, right? So over the last 7 years, we've funded hundreds of millions of dollars for thousands and thousands of small businesses all around the country, right? From Florida to New York, over to South Dakota. You name it, we've done it. From trucking companies to restaurants to landscaping companies, you name it. And I want to talk about some of the success stories that we've had for some of our clients. We've helped some small companies go from one man to 20 trucks. We've taken them from, doing a few $1,000s a month in revenue to hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in revenue. Now, I'm not going to promise you that I can do that for you because it was all them, right? But we just help them with a few of our products and services and lending to help them grow their business, right? If you want to go far, go together, right? But you also got to have the capital to be able to do it, okay? So right now, I want everybody to just pop in the chat your industry type. That way I can get an idea of what kind of business you're in so I can kind of tailor some of these stories for your needs. Trucking, love trucking. Everywhere you look in your house, you cannot find something that wasn't once on a truck. It's a great industry to be in. It's also a hard business to scale, right? Trucks are expensive. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to tell you guys a little bit about the types of business loans that are out there, the requirements for the different types of business loans, how to get approved, the docs you're going to need, and things like that. Now, you may be wondering, well, why can't I just go to a bank? Or maybe you've tried to go to a bank. Bank loans are probably the hardest thing to get approved for, especially for businesses, right? You're going to need big, long business plans. You're going to need 5 years in business. If you're a trucking company, they're going to want 10 years in business. If you're a construction company, they're going to want 10 years in business. They're going to want you to do hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in revenue, right? It's really tough. Now, besides bank loans, there's a lot of different types of lending. You've got unsecured loans. You've got merchant cash advances. You've got lines of credit. You've got secured loans backed by receivables, right? You've got equipment loans for a specific type of equipment. You can get a loan based off of your future revenue. You can get loans based off of your contracts, right? If you get a contract for, say, $1 million, we can get you an advance on that amount to be able to complete that contract, right? There's so many different types of business loans. But what you got to figure out is, where do I qualify, right? So every lender, every type of business loan has different requirements, from credit requirements to revenue requirements, times in business, right? One thing I'm going to tell you is, as long as you have 3 months in business, you have a business bank account, and you're depositing at least $5,000 a month into that business bank account, you can get approved for a loan, right? Doesn't matter what your credit is. Doesn't matter that you're a green card holder. You know, it doesn't matter if you have a 400 credit score. If you have a business bank account and you're depositing at least $5,000 a month, and you keep enough in the account to be able to afford a loan payment, we can get you approved for capital. Okay. Now let's talk about lines of credit real quick. So lines of credit, you're going to need to have a better credit score. Generally, line of credit companies are going to require you to have at least a 650 credit score. Lines of credit are great in a situation if you want to have some funds put aside for a rainy day, right? You may not need money right now, but you want to be able to have quick access to it just in case you need it. Now, because of the credit requirements, you're going to get typically better rates than an unsecured business loan, right? You're also going to be able to pull more as you pay it down. So, you know, if you have a $100,000 line of credit, you spend $20,000, you've got $80,000 left. Now, if you pay back $10,000 of that, now you've got another $90,000 left, right? So it allows you to constantly be able to pull money. But let's say you don't have at least a 650 credit score and at least $50,000 a month in revenue. There's unsecured business funding that you can take. Now, generally, this type of funding is based off of your bank statements. So what we look for is, we look to see what you can afford first and foremost. Now, every lending company is not about that. They want to see, well, what's the most we can get them? We want to be able to look. Versa Business Systems wants to make sure you can afford it, and it's not going to put you in a bad spot. Okay? So how it generally works is, if you keep on average $1,000 in your account, $100 payment is comfortable, right? $100, 10% of the money that you keep in your account goes towards paying back a loan. That's something that's comfortable, right? $400 is going to deplete 40% of your capital. You don't want to have a payment that high, right? So we try to take a look at the amount that you can, that not just get approved for, but what is going to be comfortable as far as a payment. Now, generally speaking, you're going to get approved for, on average, anywhere from 100 to 200% of what you deposit into your bank account on a monthly basis. So if you deposit about $25,000 a month into your business bank account, remember, it's got to be a business bank account. Even if you're a sole proprietor, it has to be a business bank account. So if you're depositing $25,000 a month, you should be able to get approved for anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000. Now, why the big range? Affordability. Okay. Now, if you're doing $25,000 a month and you're constantly going negative in your account, or you have really low balances, you're not going to get approved for $25,000 because you just can't afford that type of payment, right? So, guys, I see the questions coming in and I appreciate it. Just so you guys know, at the very end, we're going to spend about 15, 20 minutes answering as many questions as I possibly can. So keep those questions coming. And at the very end, we'll go ahead and pick some of those questions and dive into them for you guys. Now, so I was talking about the approval amount, right? So you're going to need bank statements, right? Generally, you're going to need a simple application. They're going to need your tax ID number. They're going to need your social, right? They got to verify you are who you say you are, right? If you guys have ever heard the Patriot Act, we got to make sure we're not funding terrorists, right? It's a legal business, right? So, just be prepared. You're going to have to give them your social tax ID number, right? So you want to be mindful of who you're doing business with, right? Lenders probably calling you all the time. Don't give them your social. You don't know who that person is. You got to make sure you research these lenders first, because there's some bad apples out there, just like there is in every industry, right? Make sure you're looking to see what their reviews say, what their clients are saying about them. Make sure they have testimonials. Make sure they really do offer different types of lending, because there's companies out there that say they do, and they only offer the types of lending that's going to pay them the most amount of money, right? Sorry, I got sidetracked. So let's get back to the types of loan requirements, right? So your standard bank loans that are going to be your 3 to 5 year terms, or maybe even longer, you're going to have a 700 credit score. You're going to have at least 5 years in business. You're going to have at least $50,000 a month in revenue, right? You got to have that good credit. You got to have the time in business. You got to have the good revenue. Otherwise, the bank's not even going to look at it. It's just too risky, okay? So the unsecured, again, 3 months of business bank statements. You got to be at least 51% ownership, or we need both owners on the application. You got to have a business bank account, and credit really doesn't matter, right? It's all about the affordability. So you want to make sure you're not going negative in your account. You want to keep as much money in your account as possible, because even if you're doing only $25,000 a month, if you're keeping a good amount, say $4,000 or $5,000 in your account every day, you might be able to get approved for closer to that $50,000 mark, right? So again, there's so many different types of funding and so many different requirements. The reason why people like coming to us is because we work with hundreds of lenders from every different type of lending program that's available. So we take a look at your situation, your credit, your time in business, your industry type, right? All these different things to say, okay, well, based on what you're doing with the money and your situation, here's the best route to go. And we've got these options of lenders we can go to negotiate a solid rate in term, right? So what I'm going to explain to you guys next is what to do to ensure you get a good rate in term when it comes time to getting a business loan, okay? So the rate is generally decided based off of risk, right? The riskier the deal for the lender or the bank, the higher the rate is going to be, the more you're going to pay for that money, right? Now, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. There's no such thing as cheap money, right? When it comes down to business lending, it just doesn't exist, right? I mean, even when it comes to personal lending, right? You might get 0% credit card if you got great credit for 12 months, but then what, 30% APR, right? Like cheap money just doesn't exist. So what you want to do is make sure that what you're using the money for is going to pay you back more than what you're paying in interest. So the rate, again, it's decided on risk. So if you got a super low credit score, you're not paying things on time, maybe you've defaulted on a loan in the past, maybe you've only been in business for 3 or 4 or 5 months, right? That's going to be a riskier deal. The rate is going to be higher. So to ensure a good rate, time in business, I know you can't fast forward time, but the longer you've been in business, the better rate you're going to get. Personal credit, the better your personal credit is, right? Because you are the driver of that business, right? You are the business. You are the brand. It's decided on the business credit a little bit. It's more decided on the personal credit. So I don't care what anybody else has told you in the past, you do need to worry about your personal credit score, right? It's not heavily weighted on a business credit score when it comes to rate, okay? And then last but not least, balances, right? If you're keeping a good amount of money in your account, you're going to be able to afford the loan. It's less risky, right? Now, if you're going negative in your account, it's riskier. The rate's going to be higher, right? Now, term. How does the banks and lenders decide the term? So they decide a term by figuring out how long you've been in business. Nobody's ever going to give you a term longer than what you've been in business. If you've been in business for a year, you're not going to get longer than a year term. If you've been in business for 3 years, you're never going to get longer than a 3-year term. Right? Again, term is also rated on the risk. Okay, just like the rate is. Right? If you've only been in business 3 months, you're probably only going to get a 3-month term. Right? They want to make sure that everything's going to get paid and you're going to be around for the long haul. Right? You got to remember what 95% of businesses don't make it past a year. Right? It might be a little bit less than that, but you got to understand the term is based off of how long you've been in business and the risk as well. So the better your credit, the longer you've been in business, the more you're depositing, the more you're keeping in your account, the longer the term you're going to be able to get. Okay? Now, let's talk about the amount, right? So we talked about the amount as far as how much you're doing in revenue, but let's talk about standard bank loans, right? If you got good credit, right, you've got a good time in business and you can get a standard bank loan, you're going to see different scenarios when it comes to the amount. It's not going to be if you're depositing 50 grand, you can get anywhere from 50 to 100K. It's going to do with what you're doing with the money, right? So if you've got a contract for a couple $1,000,000, it's in writing, you've done contracts similar to it before, and you've got a good situation or a good business plan, all that stuff, you may be able to get a lot more than that, right? It all depends on what you're doing with the money, what your business plan is. It also depends on the relationship, right? You know, business lending is a relationship business, just like a lot of things. Now, with us, when you borrow over and over again, you're going to get a better rate in term. Now, let me just give you an example. The other day, we had a landscaping company text their the consultant that they've been working with for the last couple of years, hey, I need 50 grand. I just came across a great opportunity that allows us to expand rapidly. We literally got that money in his account in 25 minutes. How were we able to do that? We've already got the documents. We've got the relationship. We built the trust, right? Everything is there to be able to get stuff done quickly, right? Now that brings me to another point. Guys, if the person you're talking to about funding isn't willing to give you their personal cell phone number, don't do business with them, right? You want somebody that you can count on, that you can reach whenever you need them, right? Because sometimes, as we know, business owners, we may come into a pinch where we need some quick capital. Oh man, something just came up. I'm running low on payroll, or, I got an opportunity to buy another piece of equipment that's going to be able to, double my revenue, and I got to buy it now or somebody else is going to get it, right? These things come up. So you want to make sure you've got their personal cell phone number. That way, when you need more capital or you need some help or you have a question, whatever it may be, you can reach them. But also things come up where, hey, I need to pause the payments for a couple of weeks, right? That's fine. You just got to stay in touch with them, and so they know what's going on with you, so they can help guide you in the right direction, right? So always make sure you get their personal contact information, okay? So I see the question. So again, the rate and the term, it's all based on risk. The higher risk, the higher the rate, the lower the term, right? But again, the terms can be anywhere from a 1-month term to a 10-year term, right? But just so you guys know, if you have under a 650 credit score, you're not going to get longer than a 2-year term. It just doesn't, it's not out there. It doesn't exist, okay? Lines of credit, those terms are generally going to be 1 to 3 years at the most. We do have some 6-month line of credit options. Again, it all just depends on the risk of the deal, right? So now let's discuss the best places to go to get a business loan and how to apply. Okay, so one of the best ways to make sure you're getting the best rate and term is by getting multiple offers, right? So that we do this very well. We make sure that we get 3 or 4 offers on the table, and then we go with the best one and we say, hey, guys, you got to beat this rate and term, right? So let's say, for example, we get, let's actually talk about a specific client. So we had a client that had a landscaping, or sorry, not a landscaping company, a excavation company, right? So excavation company needs $100,000 for a new excavator, okay? So we sent the deal out, lender 1. So we got lender 1 here, they gave $50,000, okay? Lender 2 gave $30,000. Lender 3 gave $82,000. And then lender 4 declined the deal. Why did they decline the deal? Criminal background, okay? So let's talk about that real quick. There's certain things on a criminal background that no lender will approve, and certain things that they're like, look, stuff happens, or it was super old, people change, right? So be mindful of that, right? If you've got a criminal background, it doesn't bar you from borrowing lending, but if you did something to a child or a woman, nobody's going to lend you money. It ain't going to happen. You're SOL, right? There's certain things that lenders just will not touch, okay? And if you got a DUI, you made a mistake, maybe you sold a little weed when you're in high school. Like, everybody's human. People make mistakes, right? So they didn't feel comfortable with whatever was on the background, so they declined it. Okay, so why would we not just go with option 3? It's the best loan, okay? Now, this was a shorter term than these two, right? So the payment was high. This had a really high payment, okay? Now, what we were able to do is we went ahead to these 2 lenders and we said, look, we've got an $82,000 offer, right? We took a screenshot of the offer. We said, hey, can you guys match this offer, right? We like your terms, but we need more money, okay? Both of these were able to increase it. This one was able to increase it to $70K. This one was able to reach it to, I think it was $45K, okay? Now, this is a better offer, right? Now, how were we able to get this deal done? This was a 2-year term, 24 months. This one was only a 6-month term. So the payments were way higher. We talked with the merchant and we let them know, hey, look, here's the options. You can either have a really low payment and take $30,000 less than you need, or you can have a super high payment and take $18,000 less than you need. We let them make the decision, right? We're not going to try and jam something down your throat just because we think that's what you want, right? We'll figure it out together. It ended up making more sense to have the lower payment, right, and get the $70K than it did to get $82,000 with a much shorter term. Okay, so the best way to do it is by going to multiple lenders, or go to a trusted broker that doesn't charge broker fees like Versa Business Systems, and we'll take care of all that guesswork for you, right? Because the fact is, you've got to know what lenders like your industry, what lenders like your credit, what lenders like your background, what lenders are okay with maybe a green card or an I-10 or whatever it may be, right? That's the reason why we work with hundreds of different lenders, because every situation is different, right? Every business is completely different, right? So we're going to go to the top 4 or 5 lenders that are going to give your exact situation the best amount, rate, and term based on your needs. And then we're going to kind of pit them against each other to work out the best option for you. Okay? Now, how do you apply for these loans? Again, it's all different, but you're going to need some bank statements. If you're asking for over $150,000, you'll probably need the last 2 years' tax returns. And you're going to need to do a simple application. Okay? Standard bank loans, you're going to need 2 years' tax returns, 2 years P&Ls, 2 years balance sheets, You're going to need a personal financial statement. You're going to need a business plan. You're going to need a pro forma. You're going to need a year of bank statements. Standard bank loans, you're going to need a lot more. But we do have funding options with a simple 3 months bank statements, 1-page application. We get you funded the same day, right? So there's options all across the board. But again, it depends on what you have and what you qualify for. So when you talk to one of our consultants, they're going to find out as much information about you, your business, your situation, and your needs, so we can figure out the best way to get you guys approved at the best rate and terms possible, and what documents you're going to need. We're going to let you know all that stuff up front, right? But at the very minimum, you're going to need a simple application and some bank statements, okay? So let's talk about some tips on negotiating the best rate and term, right? If you guys decide not to come to us and you guys want to figure it out on your own by going to a bunch of lenders, okay, by all means do that. If you've got the time, awesome. If you've got an assistant that can do it, great, right? Just so you know, we do get discounted rates and terms because we have the highest closing ratio in the industry, as well as the highest repeat business ratio in the industry, right? 90% of our customers come back and keep funding with us, right? So we get favorable terms, we pass them on to you, and we don't charge any fees to do that, right? So we can negotiate and do all this for you, and you don't pay anything for it, right? We're not going to charge you a fee. The lenders pay us out of their end, for bringing in so much business, okay? So some tips on negotiating the best rate and terms. So like I said before, right, you want to make sure you go to multiple lenders. 4 is a good number, right? So once you figure out what lenders are going to approve your file, right? If you have a 600 credit score and you're in the trucking industry, right, you got to, make sure you're going to lenders that will fund trucking. There's a lot of lenders that won't touch trucking, right? They think it's too volatile. They think it's too risky. Because if you've only got 2 trucks, 1 truck breaks down, your revenue is cut in half. How are you going to be able to afford to keep up with those payments, right? Construction, another volatile industry. Some places won't touch, or they require a higher revenue amount, right? Legal. Most lenders won't touch legal because they're attorneys, and what are you going to do? You're going to try and sue them if they don't pay you back, and they got a bunch of attorneys, and it's a mess, right? So just be mindful. Industry plays a big part in who's going to approve your file, right? You've got the industry type, you've got the credit type, the time in business, you've got the revenue, the balances, right? There's all these different requirements from different lenders. So once you find out 4 or 5 lenders that would approve your file, now you can go ahead and figure out, okay, well, I've got this offer, this offer, this offer, and this offer, this term, this term, this term, and this term, right? And pit them against each other. Say, hey, look, I got a better offer. You got to match this, or I got to go with this guy, right? And most of the time, they're going to need to see proof, right? Don't just make something up, because that will kill the deal, right? If you get caught saying, oh, hey, I got a $200,000 offer over here, and they're offering you $50,000, they're going to be like, take a hike, guy, right? But if you have it in writing and it's a real offer, send it to them, right? They'll re-look at the file. You got to understand, right? These are humans too, right? These people that are underwriting the deal are humans. They make a mistake. They miss something. Maybe they, one of the bank statements was labeled wrong and they didn't look at that one, or whatever it may be, right? So don't just take the offer because you think that's going to be the best you're going to get. You want to make sure it is by pitting them against each other, right? And they're okay with that. They're fine with negotiating, right? Ask for a better rate. Ask for a better term. Hey, if you can drop this down 2 points, I'll go ahead and move forward right now, right? It's just like negotiating with anything, right? You guys ever been to those? Who else here been down to Mexico and gone to the markets? There we go. It looks like a lot of you. So, when you go to those and you're haggling with them, right? Oh, $5, that's too much. I'll give you 3. And then you start to walk away and they're like, oh, okay, I'll take 3. It's the same thing with business loans, guys, right? Let them know. Say, hey, look, I appreciate your time. Thank you. I'm good. But if you can't increase it another $5,000, I got to go over with this guy, right? We do this very well. You guys can do it with us, right? You can ask us, hey, I need you to get me a better rate. I need you to get me a better term. Now, I'll be honest with you. We work really hard to negotiate these rates and terms and the amounts before we even present you the options. So, once we get you the numbers, it's tough to get a little more, a little better rate, but we get it done. We are going to get it done, right? So if we present you an offer and you're like, look, I need an extra 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 for it to make sense, we'll go back to these lenders and we'll fight more and more and more, right? So just remember, negotiating a better rate and term, it's just like negotiating for anything, okay? You can always say no. You can always go back later. You can always walk away, right? Let them call you back. Let them chase you down, right? Just because you might be in a hurry doesn't mean you can't get a little bit more money, get a little bit of better rate, get a little bit longer term, right? Everything is negotiable, okay? Just understand that. Now, if you've defaulted on a bunch of loans, you got a 500 credit score, you've only been in business for a year, I hate to tell you, there's really no negotiating power there. If you get an offer, that's probably the only offer that's going to be on the table, right? Let's be honest here. But if you haven't defaulted before, you've got a year in business, you got some decent revenue imbalances, you've got the power, okay? So use that power, negotiate the best rate and term, or call us and we'll do it for you, right? We guarantee the best rate and term. We've never had an offer that we can't beat, right? We've never had one of our customers, look at our reviews. We've never had a customer say, oh, well, I funded with Versa and these guys were able to get me a better offer. No, it's never happened because we work with every reputable lender in the industry, and we also work with every type of business lending, right? So we guarantee you the best rate and term possible, okay? Now, we've talked a little bit about the documents. Guys, I appreciate the questions. Keep them coming. In about 10, 15 minutes, we'll go ahead and do the Q&A, okay? So, excuse me, guys. A little dry. What were you saying, Caitlin? The distillery story. So the documents required. All right. So we'll get to that in a minute, but I wanted to tell you guys about a negotiating factor. Okay. So, you guys are all here because you care about your business. You want to scale, right? There's so many different things that society tells us about being greedy, don't get too big, don't do this, don't do that, right? You guys are here because you're different. Your mindset is different. You want more for your life. You want more for your family. You want more for free time. You want to get financial freedom, right? So I'll tell you a story about one of our clients, a distillery, right? So this guy's father ran this company for 30 years, and they grew it and got to a certain point, and he no longer wanted to go any further, right? He didn't believe in debt. There's good debt and bad debt, okay? So when you guys are looking for a loan, don't just look for a loan because you need money to grow your business. Have a plan to use that money, okay? So when the son took over this distillery, the son had the mindset that there's good debt, right? What is good debt? What is a good reason to get a business loan? Well, good reason to get a business loan is because it's going to increase your revenue, right? So if you're a trucking company, it's to get another truck and another driver. If you're a landscaping company, it's to get another truck, another grass cutter, and another lawnmower, right? If you're a restaurant, it's to do some more marketing, right? Or revamp your menus, or hire a better chef, or be able to give out, bonuses for people that stay longer than 3 months, right? There's a high turnover in the restaurant industry, right? Anything that's going to help you increase your revenue makes sense. So back to the distillery, right? Son takes over. They're doing about $1 million a month in revenue, okay? Comes to us. We get him $2 million. Literally, within 3 months, they doubled their revenue to $2 million a month. Why? Because of good debt, right? They took that money, they expanded their operations, right? The distillery, now they have a wedding venue, they have a concert venue, they have a bar, they have, right? And before it was just a distillery that sold beer, right? Now it's a restaurant, it's a wedding venue, it's all these different things. And then they also expanded their deliveries to other states, right? They were only in the surrounding states, and they went even further and went national. And they went from $1 million a month to $2 million a month by borrowing $1 million in 3 months, right? But bring that back down to, a lot of small businesses are like, $1 million, I can't do it. We're not doing $1 million a month. You don't need to be, right? Let me tell you about this landscaping company that we helped go from $3,000 to $4,000 a month in revenue over 20 years. He was doing $3,000 to $4,000 a month, right? That's $30,000 to $50,000 a year, right? It's not much, but it took care of him and his wife. Okay, so he came to us and he's like, "Look, I'm getting old. My bones hurt. I can't keep doing this. I need $25,000 to be able to hire some guys, get a new truck, get some more equipment, and all that stuff, right?" So basically what happened was he comes to us, he's like, "Look, here's my bank statements." He was only doing $4,000 a month. So how much could we get him, right? Okay, so if a business is doing, go ahead and put in the chat how much you think this guy doing $4,000 a month was able to get approved for. $4,000, $8,000, $10,000, a lot of different answers. But remember, generally speaking, right, for unsecured, quick funding, let's get it done, you're going to get anywhere from 100 to 200%. So if he's doing $4,000 a month, he'll be able to get anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000. Now, his balances were a little low. So $4,000 per month. His average daily balance was, I think it was only about $800. So anyways, long story short, the first loan we got him was for $2,500. Now you may be asking, this guy was looking for $25,000. Why did he take $2,500? What, he can't get a truck, a driver, and okay, well, guess what he could do? He was able to hire another person, $2,500. Okay, that's a 1 month salary, easy for somebody that cuts grass, right? So now he's got 2 drivers. Okay, so he took 2 employees. Right? So he went from 1 employee to 2 employees. What was he able to do now? Do double the amount of jobs. Okay? So he doubled his revenue. Okay? So $2,500, he was able to double his revenue. Now how much is he doing a month? $8,000. Okay? See where this is going? Okay, so loan 1 was a 4-month term. The guy had terrible credit, right? So it was only a 4-month term. He'd never had a loan before, right? He'd been doing the same thing for 20 years. So he had no lending history. He had bad credit, okay? So loan number 2, he comes back in 2 months. 2 months of running 2 employees, doubled his revenue, and we were able to get him another $10,000, okay? His balances have gone up. What was he able to do with that $10,000? Now he's got 2 trucks. Okay, so he was able to get another used truck, probably $5,000, right? POS, but it's a truck that works, it drives, it gets him to the job, right? 2 trucks, double the equipment, right? So another lawnmower, maybe another $1,000, and 2 more employees. Okay, so he goes from 2 employees to 4 employees in 2 months. What do you think he did with his revenue this time? Now it's gone from $8,000 to $20,000 in 2 months. Okay? So this is, it's all about relationships, right? All about relationships. Now he's got some lending history. Okay? He's got some lending history. He's done a couple loans. He's paid them back. We've been able to renew these loans. Now what is he able to do with $20,000? He's able to exit. Okay, doing $20,000 a month, he was able to get a 6-month term on this $10,000. So 3 months after that, so here's 2 months. Now we're at month 5. Okay, month 5, he's doing $20,000 a month. We're able to get him $30,000. Now he's able to double again, 2 more trucks, 4 employees, 2 more sets of equipment, okay? So he's got a total of 4 trucks now, okay? He's got 6 employees. What do you have, 6? Right? Yeah, 6 employees. No, 8 employees, sorry. Okay? So he's got 4 trucks, 8 employees. How much is he doing now? Okay? So this is month 5. He gets a 8-month term here. So on month 9, now he's doing $50,000 a month. Okay? And he's able to exit the business because he's got 8 employees with 4 trucks. He can't even fit in the truck anymore. Okay? So inside of 5 months, he's able to remove himself from the business and just focus on spending time with his wife, managing the business, running the payroll, right? Making sure they get more jobs, right? He goes from busting his ass over 20 years to working a few hours a day and being able to spend time with his wife, right? So, guys, that's not a long time. So if you do it smart, you do it with the right people, okay? They negotiate the right terms. They don't give you more money than you can handle, right? If we had given him 25 grand, he wouldn't have made it another month, right? He would have defaulted, would have filed bankruptcy. I mean, it would have ruined his life. And now I'm sure he might have been able to find a lender to give him 10,000, but even 10,000 would have crippled him. Okay, so this is month 9 now. Okay, so he's got the 4 trucks. Now, because he's been able to exit himself out of the business, he's been able to go after bigger jobs, better jobs, right? Really start networking and focusing on the business. So 1 truck and 1 man before was doing $4,000 a month. Now each truck is doing $20,000 a month, and he's doing 80 grand a month. So in month 9, we were able to get him $100,000. See where this is going? He was able to increase his revenue. In 10 months, the revenue was, put in the chat, how much you think his revenue grew to by month 10. So month 9, he gets a $100,000 loan, right? Basically doubles again, okay? How long? How much? Those are 200, yeah, not quite that much, but 150,000, okay? So in 10 months, he goes from $4,000 a month that he'd been doing for 20 years and gets to $150,000 a month and is able to exit the business and have it basically run itself, okay? Those are the types of stories we love. We want you guys to be the next success story that we talk about, right? But you got to do it with the right people. So, and I know we're getting long-winded here. I could talk about these stories all day long, right? So I want to get to some of your questions. We've only got a few more minutes left. Caitlin, can you go ahead and pick out one of the questions? There's hundreds of them. Just scroll through and pick one.
Angela from Wisconsin. How do I determine the amount of a loan I should apply for?
How do we determine the amount of loan that I should apply for? To be honest, it really doesn't matter how much you want. So think about it this way, right? Obviously you have an idea in your head of how much you want or need. Have that conversation with whoever you're talking to, right? But don't go a little bit overboard because they may just say, hey, that's not something we can do, and it may just kill the deal altogether, right? Like this guy, for example, when we submitted this file, he's doing $4,000 a month. I didn't put on the application that he wanted $25,000 because lenders would have been like, decline. You're not getting $25,000, right? So be realistic. A great answer is as much as possible, okay? We say that all the time, right? So when you're looking for a loan, I always suggest saying, I'm just looking to get as much as I can afford, right? Or as much as possible, okay? I hope that answers your question. Was it Angela? I hope that answers your question. Go ahead. Let's go with another one.
Jeremy wants to know what should he do if his business application is denied?
Okay, so Jeremy, if you're denied by one lender, it's not the end of the world, right? It's not. There's so many lenders out there. You just gotta know where you're going, right? So, like I said, as long as you have 3 months of business bank statements, you keep at least $1,000 in your account, and you're depositing at least $5,000 a month into your account the last 3 months, you are able to get approved somewhere, right? So if you're finding yourselves getting denied and denied and denied, we hear that all the time when we're talking to customers. Oh, I don't know if I want to waste my time because I've been denied the last 5 times I applied. Hey, just send us your bank statements. We'll take a look. If we don't think we can get you qualified, we'll let you know. We won't waste your time doing an application and going further, right? But send us your bank statements. We'll take a look at it. And like I said, if you're keeping around $1,000 or more in your account and you're depositing at least $5,000 a month into a business bank account, we can get you approved, right? So you just got to make sure you're going to the right places, right? It took us years to figure out all the right places to go to for every type of situation, right? You guys don't have to do that. Just come to us. We'll take care of it for you. We don't charge you any fees, okay? Hope that answers your question, Jeremy. Thanks for being here.
All right. Christina wants to know, what should I look for in a lender to ensure they are reputable and offer fair terms?
Okay, so how to find a reputable lender that offers fair terms. Guys, in this day and age, reviews, right? You got to read the reviews, okay? Make sure that people are happy with what they got, right? Make sure that, it's not, and you can tell if it's like a bunch of fake reviews, right? You can buy reviews now, okay? So just make sure they're legit, and you can kind of tell the way they act, right? If they're super professional, they're nice, they ask questions that make them sound like they care rather than just, well, what's your credit? How much you want? How long you been in business, right? You can always kind of tell the guys that really care and the ones that don't, right? Sincerity, right? If you don't have a good feeling about them, I would say it's not the right place to go to, but definitely check out the reviews. But the best place is testimonials, right? If they don't have any video testimonials from their clients, I can guarantee you that's not the place you want to go, okay? So make sure there's video testimonials, from real clients, right? If they're look them up. You can tell if they're real or not, right? So just make sure they've got testimonials will probably be my biggest suggestion. All right, let's do one more.
All right, David from Chicago wants to know, are there any specific industries or business types that have better chances of securing loans?
So David, yes, there are certain industries and business types that have a chance of securing business loans or better terms on business loans. So like I said before, legal's a tough one. Okay. A lot of lenders don't want to deal with legal because they're lawyers, right? Like lawyers are hard to beat. Okay. Trucking, it's all about the risk. Okay. So when COVID first got done with, everybody was worried that there would be a second pandemic and restaurants would be shut down again. Okay. So restaurants were a super high risk industry at that point. Okay. You've got trucking. When gas goes way up, trucking gets super risky, okay? The amount of trucks also matter, okay? So if they've only got 2 or 3 trucks, if they lose 1 truck, they're either cutting their revenue in half or by a third, right? And that's risky. Construction, there's a lot of high turnover. So if you only got a year in business in your construction company, right, it is a higher risk. So absolutely, the industry type is definitely a factor when it comes to getting favorable terms and rates on business loans. But guys, if you don't have a business yet, or, you're thinking about, oh, I'm having a hard time getting a business loan, so I want to do a different industry. Don't do that, guys. Focus on the industry that you're passionate about. I promise you there's a way to get you money. As long as you can afford it, right, and you're going to pay it back, we can get you funding. Right. So, I wouldn't worry too much about that. Obviously it's got to be a legal business. There's even businesses that'll do weed now, even though it's not federally legal. Right. So medical marijuana, recreational marijuana, right? There are lenders out there that specifically only lend to those types of businesses. Right. So the industry, as long as it's a legal business, you can absolutely find favorable rates and terms for sure. I don't want to go too long. Guys, I see all the questions. So if you guys have more questions, feel free to give us a call, right? Any one of our consultants can answer as many questions as you have. You can reach us at 410-864-8034. I've got a bunch of guys ready waiting for your call now. So they can absolutely help answer all of your questions. So guys, a lot of people have stayed on this whole time. I appreciate you guys being on here. So what I'm going to do for all of those that stayed on the whole time, if you want the book, right? So you'll see this book behind me, The 5 Secrets to Getting the Best Deal on a Business Loan. This was a bestseller on Amazon in about 20 different business categories, right? It was a #1 new release, okay? This is the first book I ever wrote, guys. And it crushed it, right? It's helped a lot of businesses get great rates and terms on business loans. I'll give you guys all a free copy. Go ahead and send an email. In the subject line, just put attended webinar, and I will go ahead and send you a copy. Send that email to info@versabusinesssystems.com. If you send it within the next hour, I'll have it to you right away. Guys, there's a few different things that we can go from here, right? So one, if you're looking for capital, you want us to do all the work for you, just go to versabusinessfunding.com. Go ahead and fill out the application, attach your bank statements. We can have you funded as soon as same day. Depends, it could take a few days. If it's a standard bank loan, it could take a couple weeks, right? But let's go ahead and get this process started, okay? You can always call us so we can have a conversation first. At versabusinessfunding.com, you can also schedule a call. So if you're not free until tomorrow at 4 o'clock, go ahead and schedule the call on that website. I think it's on the 4th page, and you can go ahead and book a call with one of our consultants. Another thing we can do, if you guys all know business owners, right? So another thing we have is our affiliate program, where you can actually make 10% of any revenue that we make by doing business with people that you know. You guys can sign up as an affiliate. You'll get a dedicated affiliate link that you can send to business owners, or if you're in the B2B space, send out to your client list. And anytime any of those people take a loan, maybe do credit card processing, or tax credits, whatever they do with us, you're going to get paid 10% of the revenue. Okay. So how to sign up as an affiliate? You can go to versa.everflowclient.io. Okay. You'll see a button that says partner sign up. Go ahead and click that button. You'll fill out the information. And again, if you have any questions about the affiliate program, or the referral program, go ahead and you can feel free to shoot an email to info@versabusinesssystems.com, or just give us a call, and any of our consultants will be happy to help you. I appreciate all of you guys being on here. You guys have a wonderful day. Thank you.